What's up, Fallout fans? We're going over the unique Zap glove in New Vegas, where to get it, its stats, and just generally how good is it, and of course, is it even worth it? The Paladin Toaster is located inside the Black Rock Cave, basically right near Helios 1, just past Novak. It's very easy to get to. If you've watched any of my other videos with these kind of, the early game power stuff, I'm like a broken record. You just go the typical loop route, so from Good Springs to Nipton, from Nipton to Wolfhorn, then you flank alongside the ranger station, ending up in Novak, and you're practically there. Just head past Gibson's shack towards Helios 1 as shown on the map. It's very easy to get to. There's really not that much obstacles outside of the cave itself. On the outskirts of the cave, there is some normal, leveled rad scorpion variants, but nothing too crazy. Inside the cave is a bit of a mixed bag in terms of potential dangers, as this cavern, it always spawns stealth nightkins. It seems to always spawn 2, but I think if you're higher level, you can get 3. And it also seems that there's like a fixed level, because I've seen a master nightkin in here many times, but for whatever reason, I had absolutely no issue on this character. I was level 2 and I just, popped a stealth boy that I got at the Good Springs schoolhouse and was able to just kind of get in all sneaky peeky like and back out with my booty in hand. The Paladin Toaster is on the corpse of a slain prospector near the back of the cavern that likely got by the Nightkin now residing here. The reason I kind of went over that is because it's a mixed bag, because I have came here on lower level characters before in the past, and even with a stealth boy, it was really hard to get in and out undetected, even alive, honestly. I've gotten mowed down by that Nightkin master, and even with a stealth boy, I think I've even came here with a relatively high character and got caught. So this can change a little bit, as I think the higher leveled master variant comes with a minigun, so he can put in work, ending your life very fast. But I did get lucky with no issues whatsoever, but just keep that in mind with kind of the randomness of the potential dangers inside the cave. How good is this weapon though, really? Honestly, it's a solid unarmed weapon overall, but let's go over these stats first, then the pros and cons. It requires 75 unarmed, a mere 4 strength, has a base damage of 41, so pretty solid damage really. 67.1 DPS, a critical damage the same as its base damage at 41, pretty standard. A ×1 crit multiplier, pretty standard. 1.6 attack speed, but it does feel slower for some reason. I just always thought it kind of felt slightly slower than 1.6, and I don't really know why. Maybe it's the animation, but this weapon has always felt slow to me, even though not too slow, and it costs 28 AP in VATS to use, so a little high, but it's kind of normal for a lot of these weirder weapons, like, the displacer gloves and stuff. It weighs 6 and has an item HP of 80. Unarmed actually doesn't have unique VATS attacks per se like a lot of melee weapons do, but by default they deal double damage in VATS, and you unlock certain special movesets as you level up your unarmed as shown here. Things like uppercuts, and stuff like that, which is really cool. The Paladin Toaster toasts paladins. It's a really cool name, and it's obviously a reference to its increased modifier of the 20% towards enemies wearing power armor, so of course the Brotherhood Paladin. It also gives an increased damage of plus 50% to robots. This kind of fun name also makes you wonder, the origins of this weapon, right? It's obvious someone made this weapon to potentially deal with the Brotherhood of Steel. And although this is found on a dead prospector, he likely salvaged or found this from elsewhere, so it does make you wonder. The pros of this weapon is it's very easy to grab relatively, being an easy to reach location, and considering you don't have any trouble with the Nightkin, it does good damage, and it's probably one of the best weapons to take into Old World Blues, as the Big MT has a ton of robots to take advantage of the increased modifier, getting the most bang for your buck doing that DLC with this weapon. I've actually done this before. I've grabbed this straight up and just went straight, kind of how I did in this video at like level 2 or 3, and then I just went straight to Old World Blues, and it will carry you for sure. The cons of this weapon are, first, the increased modifier is nice, but its effect is very limited. Robots of the Mojave wasteland in the base vanilla game are very few and far between. Same obviously with the enemies in power armor, making this effect really, like super niche. But it does come in clutch when you need it against some very powerful robots like sentry bots and Securitron. So, and the damage is fine just overall on normal enemies. It's not like you ever need to relegate this weapon as, you know, only a robot killer or anything like that. It's great just punching for, you know, with whatever. Another con is kind of a weird con. It's the actual like particle effects of the electrical zap. It can be very overwhelming, and you can, like, especially when you're dealing with a lot of enemies, you literally get flashbanged. The shock effect is a bit much. It's literally like a built-in flash grenade at times, making it very hard to even see what's going on. As you can probably tell with some of the footage I've captured, it's very disorienting. And knowing where your enemies are in terms of, you know, just general spatial awareness and distancing being the most paramount thing for a melee build can be the difference between life and death at times. So repairing this weapon is also a bitch. Zap gloves, like, I don't even think they really exist outside of merchants. I think the Brotherhood might have some of the scribes or something like that. You really don't find them at all. And I don't think Caesar's Legion has them either. I think those are the displacer gloves, but they're very rare. So if you don't have the perk jury rigging or weapon repair kits, it can be a pain in the ass for sure. This is like one of my personal favorite weapons, purely from a, I don't know, maybe a bias standpoint, maybe a bit of nostalgia mixed in, because like I think most players like pushy better than this, and for good reason. I don't know, I just remember discovering this way back in the day when I was a noob in New Vegas and just found this weapon really cool and fun. So this could just be nostalgia to some level, but it is a really good weapon overall. And this all really just begs to ask the question, is it a worthy weapon for early game power? Yeah, I'd say so, 100% actually. It's solid. If you got a stealth boy to burn and you're just making your way past Helios 1 anyways, you know, even without the stat requirements, or even if you're not playing a melee character altogether with none of your stat points dumped into melee or unarmed, it still does very good in the early game, packing a wallop that is worth grabbing in my opinion. With all that said, Fallout New Vegas fans, like, comment, subscribe, and, you know, all of that good stuff. And I really do hope to see you in the next one.